Headlines in the city. A lone taxi cruised down the nearly empty streets of downtown, its headlights cutting through the fog that had rolled in thick from the river. The driver, an older man named Henry, tapped his fingers against the wheel, humming along to a song on the radio. In the back seat, his passenger, a young woman in a red dress, stared absently at her phone. Then the roar came. It wasn't like anything Henry had ever heard before. It wasn't just loud, it was deep, a rumbling, earth-shaking growl that made his bones vibrate. The windows of nearby buildings trembled. The taxi's engine stuttered. And then came the fire. A monstrous shape dropped from the sky, landing in the middle of the street with a thunderous crash. Henry barely had time to react before an explosion of flames erupted from the creature's mouth, swallowing a parked car in an instant. The fire roared like a living thing, melting metal, shattering glass, turning everything it touched into blackened ruin. The young woman in the back seat screamed. Henry slammed on the brakes. The creature stepped into the glow of the streetlights, and Henry felt his mind freeze in terror. It was a lion, but no ordinary lion. Its body was massive, its muscles rippling beneath thick fur that shimmered unnaturally, as if made of shifting embers. Its eyes burned like molten gold, and when it opened its mouth again, fire dripped from its fangs. Henry threw the car into reverse, but before he could move, the lion's eyes locked onto him. His body refused to obey. His hands trembled, his breath caught in his throat. He couldn't look away. The lion's glowing eyes held him, trapping him in place. A feeling of emptiness washed over him, like he was being pulled into something vast and endless. In the back seat, the woman whimpered. The lion took a step forward, then another. Henry's lips parted, but no sound came out. The last thing he saw was the fire. Within minutes, the entire block was in flames. Buildings cracked and crumbled, their windows exploding from the heat. The screams of the dying filled the air, mixing with the roars of the monstrous lions as they stalked through the streets, their bodies wreathed in fire. The first responders never stood a chance. A squad of police cars screeched onto the burning street, sirens wailing. Officers jumped out, guns drawn, their faces twisted in confusion and fear. They had no idea what they were looking at: massive, supernatural lions with flames dripping from their jaws, their glowing eyes cutting through the smoke. One officer, a young man named Carter, raised his weapon. "Freeze. Don't move." The lion nearest to him turned its head. Its golden eyes flared. Carter's breath caught in his throat. His arms stiffened, his body locking up like stone. He could feel something wrapping around his mind, something ancient and impossible. His vision blurred, dark shapes creeping at the edges. The lion moved forward, slowly, deliberately. The other officers opened fire. Bullets tore through the beast's body, but it didn't stop. The wounds didn't bleed. They burned, closing almost instantly, as if the lion's very flesh refused to be harmed. Then the fire came. The lion opened its jaws, and a river of flames poured forth, engulfing the nearest police car. The explosion sent bodies flying, burning officers screaming as they hit the pavement. The air filled with the stench of charred flesh. Carter could only watch. He couldn't move, couldn't speak. The lion was in front of him now. Its breath was fire, its fur glowing like molten lava. Carter's mind screamed, but his body wouldn't respond. The last thing he saw was the beast's jaws opening wide. The king arrives across the city, chaos reigned. Fire-breathing lions poured from the darkness, stalking the streets, setting everything ablaze. And then, the king came. A deep, thunderous roar shattered the air. The ground trembled. Windows across the city cracked, cars rattled like toys. Then out of the smoke it appeared. The king lion was massive, far larger than the others. Its fur burned with a golden light, its mane a swirling inferno. But its eyes were the worst, glowing, hypnotic. A single look and the mind crumbled. Survivors stopped running. Soldiers froze mid-attack. Even the dying stopped screaming, their bodies going limp as the king's glowing eyes took hold of them. Some dropped to their knees, their faces empty, waiting to be devoured. The city was doomed. Or was it? Somewhere in the burning streets, survivors gathered. Soldiers, cops, civilians with nothing left to lose. The city would fight back. But against fire, against terror, against the king himself, could they win? The city was drowning in fire. Every street burned. Every building crumbled. The sky had turned blood red, choked with smoke and the screams of the dying. The lions were everywhere, massive, fire-wreathed beasts, tearing through metal and flesh alike, their glowing eyes turning victims into frozen, mindless prey. But the king lion was worse. It stood in the heart of the destruction, its golden eyes casting an eerie glow over the battlefield. Survivors who dared look into them became puppets, motionless, waiting for death. Those who ran burned. And yet, in the middle of the chaos, the city fought back. The Resistance, a group of police officers and soldiers, had taken cover inside a half-destroyed shopping mall. The entrance had caved in, sealing them inside, but outside, the streets were a war zone. Sergeant Mason wiped the sweat from his forehead, his uniform stained with ash. His team was low on ammo and the radio was dead. But he wasn't about to give up. "We need to find a way to kill these things," he said. Officer Ramirez shook his head. "You saw what happened. Bullets don't work. Rockets don't work. We're fighting fire-breathing demons. Then we find something that does," Mason growled. Then they heard it. A deep, slow breathing. Right outside the broken window, Mason turned his head slowly, his heart hammering. The king lion stood there. Its golden eyes pulsed with an unnatural light. Even without looking directly at them, Mason could feel their pull, a terrible weight pressing down on his mind. A rookie Daniels wasn't so lucky. He turned, locking eyes with the beast. His body froze, his hands going slack. The rifle slipped from his grasp, clattering to the floor. "Daniels, don't look at it," Mason shouted. Too late. Daniels took a slow, dreamlike step forward. Then another. His lips parted slightly, his face blank. He was walking straight toward the beast, and the king was waiting. The lion's jaws opened wide, fire glowing between its teeth. Mason didn't think. He grabbed Daniels by the vest and yanked him backward, breaking the eye contact. The young officer collapsed, gasping for breath, his eyes wide with terror. The king lion let out a low, rumbling growl. Then it roared. The sound hit like a shockwave. The window shattered. Mason's ears rang. A crack ran through the wall and part of the ceiling collapsed. "Move!" Mason shouted. The soldiers and officers ran, sprinting deeper into the mall as fire swallowed the entrance behind them. The king lion had found them, and now it was hunting. The final stand across the city, more survivors fought back. A SWAT team on the rooftops fired sniper rounds at the lion's eyes, trying to blind them. Firefighters used high-pressure water cannons to push back the flames, saving as many as they could. A rogue group of civilians armed with homemade explosives set traps, detonating gas stations to take out as many lions as possible. But it wasn't enough. For every lion they killed, more appeared. The fire never stopped. The king's hypnotic gaze turned more people into mindless victims. The city was falling. And then someone made a desperate choice. A military commander at a hidden bunker made the call. Deploy the missile. A thermobaric bomb, one of the most powerful weapons in existence, was being prepped. If they couldn't stop the lions, they'd burn the entire city to the ground. Would it work? Or had the lions already won? The missile was armed. Inside an underground military bunker on the city's outskirts, General Harris stood over the control panel, sweat dripping down his face. The screen displayed a satellite image of the burning city, lions moving like demons through the firestorm. The king lion stood in the heart of the destruction, its hypnotic eyes glowing brighter than ever. "All forces fall back," Harris ordered. "We launch in 2 minutes." Across the city, survivors received the transmission. Soldiers abandoned their posts. Firefighters dropped their hoses. Police officers helped civilians flee. The last helicopters lifted off, taking as many people as they could. The city had lost. The only option left was to erase everything. The king lion's rage the king lion knew. It raised its massive head, sensing the shift in the air. The humans were planning something. A final act of defiance. Its golden eyes pulsed. Across the city, surviving lions stopped. They turned their heads in perfect unison, their glowing eyes flickering like dying stars. Then, as if controlled by a single mind, they roared together. A deep, guttural sound that sent shockwaves through the ground. The fire burned hotter. The smoke twisted unnaturally, spiraling toward the sky. The king lion wasn't going to let the humans win. It ran. Faster than any living thing should be able to move, its fire-covered body streaked through the streets, heading for the military base. The earth cracked beneath its massive paws, its hypnotic gaze sweeping over fleeing soldiers, freezing them mid-step. Nothing would stop it. The countdown begins inside the bunker. Alarms blared. "Target is approaching at 120 miles per hour, a technician shouted. "Eat in 90 seconds before it reaches us." General Harris clenched his jaw. Launched the missile. A key was turned. A button was pressed. Far beyond the burning city, a missile silo opened. A deep, Metallic click echoed as the payload was armed. Then, with an ear-shattering roar, the thermobaric bomb launched into the sky. The king lion saw it, and it roared. A shockwave of pure fire erupted from its mouth, rolling through the city like a tsunami. Buildings shattered. Cars melted. People still running were turned to ash in an instant. But it was too late. The missile was coming. The king leaped, its glowing eyes burning brighter than ever, as if trying to control the missile itself. For a second, it almost worked. The missile's trajectory shifted, veering slightly off course. But it wasn't enough. The bomb detonated. The explosion was biblical. A blinding white light consumed everything. The shockwave ripped through the city, leveling skyscrapers, turning streets to craters. Fire erased everything in its path, a wall of destruction hotter than the sun. The king lion screamed, a sound of rage, of agony, of something ancient fighting to survive. Its burning body disintegrated, its hypnotic eyes flickering out, swallowed by the flames. The lions were gone. The city was gone. All that remained was fire and silence. Epilogue: did it truly die? Days later, the smoke still hung in the sky. Rescue teams searched the outskirts for survivors. The news called it the worst disaster in human history. The lions were gone. The king was gone. But beneath the ruins, deep in the smoldering ash, something shifted. A low, rumbling breath. And then, a single golden eye flickered open. The nightmare wasn't over. Don't forget to like and subscribe and watch out for the next.